it?
A lot.
Okay.
911 emergency.
Trying to get a hold of the police. There's a whole bunch of, there must be 30 cars out in front of our house and the neighbors. Bunch of teenage kids doing all, I don't know, they're all running around.
Yeah, they're dressed up in their Halloween costumes, so somebody's having a Halloween party.
And they're hitting each other in front of our yard. They're clearly drunk. They have alcohol. Like something bad was about to happen.
$911 emergency.
Hey, I'm at a party, and
What's
there's
going on? Take
people.
a deep breath.
There's a bunch of people out here with guns and shit, and they just jumped my friend, and he's knocked out on the ground.
Okay.
He's been out unconscious for like 2 minutes. We need people over here.
Okay, I'm getting them started, okay? Don't hang up. Just stay on the line with me.
Thank you so much. I'm scared.
Do you know the people that did this? Are they still there or have they left?
I don't know the people that are here. We don't have any beef with them or anything.
Okay.
They all had ski masks on, and it was
How many was it?
a lot.
Like 4 or 5 or more?
Like 15.
Preston was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Sadly, on Monday, October 30th, Preston passed away in the hospital. As part of the investigation, we requested information from the community.
A teenage boy is dead after
Police are requesting to see your surveillance or doorbell camera video.
Was allegedly assaulted while at a Halloween
No one
party
has been
here.
arrested.
No arrests have been
And still
made yet.
no arrests, no formal charges, and Queen Creek's top cop not answering any questions in this investigation.
Gilbert, to me, has always been a small family town. Like 100%, if you want to raise your family in a quiet, safe place, Gilbert was the place to go. East Valley is home, it's safe, it's quiet. At least that's what I thought it was.
Okay, is he breathing now? Here. Because then we have to start AR. That's different.
Because you can do rescue.
Yeah.
I usually walk the dog early in the morning, and there was a lot of trash that Sunday morning. And I noticed it, so I thought, yeah, something definitely happened. Someone sent me an email with a GoFundMe page for Preston Lord, and then I started looking into it, and I'm like, that boy Preston, he just looks like a super nice kid. He didn't look like a troublemaker from his picture, and you can genuinely tell just by looking at someone. I thought he just didn't look like a troublemaker. I said, I wonder what happened. Like, what would cause someone to do that?
Tonight marks a month since my nephew was beaten at a Halloween party. It's been a month since our family got a call that would change our lives forever.
The last thing that I physically told him was, I'll see you later. I love you. Bye.
How do the police not know who it is? It just seems like with teenagers it would have come out quickly.
I looked to the media to find out they must have information. There must be some more information out there. The police must be giving us information. There must be something. There was nothing.
They were probably a little overwhelmed with the very first murder for their police department.
A life has been lost, and we understand that nothing can really fill this void. But I want the community to know, especially, that we're working diligently to bring justice to the victim.
This is an active and ongoing investigation, and while the information we can share is limited, our chief has been providing weekly updates.
But it was the same update for 2-3 months. It was like, we're actively working the case.
Well, it was hard not having answers. And we were given limited information from the police when we did communicate with them, because we want to know what's going on with his case and what evidence we do and don't have.
It just shocked me that there was these whispers going through this town. Everywhere I felt like I turned, I heard this little whisper of it.
People started naming names online. That outraged people because names were being named. Their parents were outraged and they started posting.
Every day I was learning something new about what was going on, and it absolutely shook me to my core, scared me to have my kid go to school. I mean, absolutely scared me.
Talon bragged about killing Preston on Snapchat and showed his ALA football teammates video of the attack, claiming he put Preston on life support.
They don't feel safe at school because he's going around bragging about killing this kid, that he's certain he killed him because he didn't get back up and how he hit him.
ALA's dean contacted police as students were talking about Renner on social media, accusing him of murder.
Everybody else seemed to know he said that, but nobody was saying anything. And that's what I think really surprised me, is that I wasn't even in that school and I was getting wind of it.
The teens are terrified because they also are going to school with these murderers.
At least one in particular was playing on an ALA football team that had been accused of being involved, and he was still playing.
When it's a handoff to Renner, they keep feeding him. He breaks loose and he's into the end zone for a score.
It was mind-boggling to me.
The general public was like completely enraged.
Everyone seems to know who it is, but nothing's been done. There's been no arrest. There's been no action yet.
Say the least, a couple strong runs from Renner, and it ends with a run into the end zone.
And he was named player of the game.
And we knew the SWAT team had already showed up at his house. We knew the police had showed up at his school because guess what? Social media is powerful.
And I had spoken with a guy, do you know anything about this Preston Lord murder? He said, oh, they're the group of kids that have been going around, running around in Range Rovers or BMWs and jumping out and just beating people senseless for quite a while now. And I said, you know that? And he goes, that's pretty much well known. Just go online and you'll find out.
The weekend prior to Halloween, they jumped and killed a boy named Preston Lord. Many come from affluent families. The email suggested that there was a group of kids in a very wealthy community in Gilbert that were behind not only the attack on Preston Lord, but other attacks. And this had been percolating through social media. The day before Thanksgiving, went out to this community called White Wing, $1 million, $2 million homes, and I started talking to neighbors there about what they knew. And that's when I started learning about this group, the Gilbert Goons. That's the first time I've heard that expression. And neighbors related to me that the Goons were a neighborhood gang of kids who had attacked other kids for years in the community, that they had been problems within this neighborhood. As they grew up, so their attacks grew up and started spreading outward. One of the first videos we saw was an unnamed child being beaten at a Gilbert In-N-Out by several people that we could identify.
Real quick, let me get back into action. Hold up.
Are you good, Cuff?
It was something that you would see in movies. It's so disturbing to see the kids just going at it at each other and knowing and hearing the punches.
There was also a core group of moms who came together with the explicit intent of solving who killed Preston Lord in the vacuum of the lack of information that was coming out from police.
You know, we were curious moms, but we were also concerned moms.
Every night we would get together and we would get on and just message, and we found this and we found that.
And then as I got into the group, I was like, this is wild. There were videos of them being arrested by Gilbert police. They were in the back of the cop car making a TikTok. So I was able to go from one kid to another kid to another kid, and they had very similar videos of like doing burnouts in their cars, driving down the 101 drunk, going 95 to 100 miles an hour, bonfires, jumping over things. It was very simple to sort of link them together as a group.
So we started to put this board together, and then we started to figure out, okay, this crime was here. Okay, which one of these kids was part of the crime? And so we had this rope, and we were just starting to connect the dots. This is much bigger than what any of us had ever realized.
This isn't a one-off, that Preston was not killed by like just a one-off group.
The Gilbert Police Department had been well aware of this for quite some time. This wasn't new to anybody but us.
And we kept learning about these other attacks at the In-N-Out or at house parties, and we realized it was a pattern that had gone unchecked.
We pointed to a site called Lily Waterfield that was really like the virtual community gathering place where people were dropping off tips, exposing issues, talking about other beatings, other attacks.
I was like, who is this person?
Lily Waterfield is a Facebook site run by two women, Christine Brennan and Angela Rogers.
But that account kept coming up with more and more information.
I did not want the Renner boys to get away with what they had done, and neither did Chris. So we tag teamed and we worked that Lily Waterfield Facebook page 24/7, and we were constantly just giving out information, responding to everybody.
There are TikTok videos of them fighting and beating other kids. It was 3 kids, 5, 7, 10. This grew to be, we have a gang. How do we have a gang in Gilbert?
Oh! No fucking way!
Oh! Oh! Whoa! No way!
Like, people are watching these videos and nobody is saying anything. You know about it and you're not stopping it. Why?
Someone get him! Someone get him! Holy Christ, have I recorded, man? Get the fuck back! Hey,
This is Sleepy Town, Gilbert. And I get murders and bad things happen all the time, but this was just, it just doesn't sit right with you when you hear the story about these boys. And
we started to post on their Facebook pages and say, go turn your kid in. Your kid murdered somebody. Our response to her was, we had a picture of her son standing with 2 other goons. Her son is showing a gun. He's very proudly showing it. Maybe it was a little social media vigilanteism, if you will.
I think they tried to do what they think the police were not doing.
At first, we were like, who are these people and why do they care so much?
Ultimately, the purpose of Lily was to keep Preston in the media. Then the police were going to continue the investigation and it wasn't going to be a cold case.
Remember that we're waiting with Preston's family and others for arrests, charges, convictions, and maximum sentencing.
And then it became evident why they cared so much.
Look at how filthy it is.
it is really dirty this time. It is shocking, right?
Preston kind of represented everybody's child, that it could have been anybody that evening.
So my colleague, Elena Santa Cruz, and I started compiling the framework to our story. And we were very confident in what we were seeing, primarily because they were on video. Note to self, if you're going to commit a crime, don't post it on video. Don't post it on social media.
This is a new behavior we haven't seen before. While teen violence is nothing new, I've seen it my entire career. This is a new twist.
The gang attacks.
That with no real, they're not out for money. They're not out for your typical gang-related types of thing, territory, money, power. It's just really weird.
Video status.
Yeah, it's a social media, it's that social media thing.
It's all about clout and street cred and being popular. Social media was allowing them to get a ton of validation and affirmation from peers, the public. I mean, their accounts, kids had 5, 6, 7, 8,000 followers on these videos.
The AZ Central newspaper published an article on December 14th that has crazy details and accusations about a gang in Gilbert run by affluent teens.
After that article came out this morning, I could not get out of bed. My husband read it at work and came home from work so upset. And I just got a call from my youngest bawling at school to come pick her up because she read it on her lunch break and is so sad.
So our story, for the first time, publicly linked the Gilbert Goons to the Preston Lord murder to other attacks that were occurring throughout the East Valley.
And there's a lot of outrage towards the Gilbert Police Department. Well, the Gilbert Police Department came out and made a statement And they said that there had been no reports, not a single report that mentions this theory, Gilbert Goons. No assaults, no reports to the Gilbert Police Department.
These reports, these assaults have went unchecked for 11 months. But that is further from the truth. We actively investigated all of the cases that were brought to us prior to Preston Lord's death. And so in those 11 months, from when these cases started, we made arrests. We made 15 arrests in those 18 months.
That's really disingenuous. It's almost a sleight of hand. I don't know what 15 cases he's talking about. By the department's own admission, they never connected cases to the Gilbert Goons. It was only after our reporting that the department reopened cases, began investigating and making arrests. The Gilbert Goons attacks occurred primarily in Gilbert, but also involved Mesa, Chandler, Santan Valley.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Melissa Sabante. Melissa?
The devastating loss of Preston's life was due to unnecessary violence. Our child will never be coming home. And we need to prevent this from ever happening again.
I feel like there should have been arrests the night Preston died. Like there was a child that died. That police were there. You felt it was safe enough to leave. And then with mere minutes later, a child died.
Many homicide investigations take years to complete. The fact that a month or two had gone by without arrests wasn't surprising. But it was really bothering the community. They wanted to know, they wanted answers about why nobody had been arrested.
Living in fear that when I see a group of teenage boys, are they going to attack this boy over here by himself because he's all by himself? Are they going to attack my kid? Are they have no fears. And it is scary.
If the teens that murdered Preston were people of color, we felt that we would have had an arrest within a week because names are named.
That was complicated, of course, by the fact that we were finding these videos involving these kids that we could positively link to police searches of homes and things like that. So the community was demanding answers, and yet the investigation continued.
So what do you think the purpose of the NDA was?
To keep me from talking about anything that related to the murder case of Preston Lord.
During the investigation, we became aware of Ashley Reynolds, who was an employee of Travis Renner and his business partner, a man named Adam Kiffer.
He had told me that Talon was involved. He had thrown the initial punch. So the first punch was thrown by Talon Renner. Talon Renner had brass knuckles and had punched Preston that had dealt the deadly blow, essentially. They said they had plenty of money. They would be able to get away with this, essentially.
Adam Kiffer denies all of this. He has accused Ashley Reynolds in a lawsuit of theft.
He hurt his hand because he punched Preston. They took Talon out of town. I was being told by Adam that's where they were at, the cabin, letting Talon's hand heal.
I knew nothing about any plans in advance for him to take Talon up north to hide or heal his hand or any of the above. And there is zero evidence to show anything other than what I just said.
So what do you have to say about any allegations that your son was taken out of the area and that your family has the financial means to take him out to a different country?
In vetting Ms. Reynolds' claims, we took what she said to Queen Creek Police.
In those statements, I don't have anything to say. Her statement's corroborating rather than contradictory.
We have a long road ahead, and the road to justice is slow. We demand that those responsible for his untimely departure are brought before the law to answer for their actions.
We had a feeling arrests were coming. There's an energy in the community. We could just feel it. We would hear a rumor or it's happening.
The following people were indicted today: Dominic Turner, William Owen Hines, Talon Renner, T-A-L-A-N, and Talon, T-A-L-Y-N, Vigil. Each of them is charged in the alternative with first-degree murder. Felony murder is the theory of the first-degree murder, and in the alternative, second-degree murder.
Within 2 days, 3 more people had been arrested as well. Preston Billy, Taylor Sherman, and Jacob Meisner.
You know, I can't imagine what it would be like to send your kid out to a Halloween party and have him not come back. So I get that.
The suspects are inside the courthouse as we speak, so the hearing just got started a few minutes ago.
I set the July of 2025 trial date with an expectation that that will be the trial date.
We continue to live this nightmare and go through waves of emotion. Sometimes the waves are bigger than other days. Getting up out of bed every day and doing what Preston would have wanted us to do, to live like Preston.
Queen Creek, you're doing your investigation into a murder, but what is going on here in Gilbert? Because a lot of these beatings are taking place at In-N-Out.
I think we have 8 established Gilbert Goon attacks at the same Gilbert In-N-Out burger where these kids hang out.
The beatings got pretty bad, or else we wouldn't be in the position we are now where Preston's dead, but most of the beatings would lead to people with broken bones, broken noses, broken jaws. If I was friends with them, I'd sell them weed, smoke weed with them, party with them, but I never took part in the actions that they would go through, like fighting people and stuff like that. The first time seeing them beat someone up, I mean, it didn't really affect me, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't know. I think violence is super normalized nowadays.
In late December 2022, my son, who was 16 at the time, was a victim of a gang-style attack at the Santan Mall in In-N-Out in Gilbert.
He had long black hair. They were all dressed in kind of black, baggy clothes, and the smell of marijuana, you could smell it coming off of them. And so when he demanded $20 from me with his hands kind of shuffling around in his hoodie, that's when I knew something was wrong.
But he was attacked with brass knuckles by someone that has appeared up repeatedly in these Goons attacks.
I turned around to defend myself from him, and then that's when I felt blood just pouring from the back of my head.
They would just beat up anyone who looked at them wrong, talked to them wrong, made them mad.
We immediately filed a police report with Gilbert Police, and once 2 suspects were identified a couple weeks later, pressed charges.
When they interviewed the suspect, He told police that he liked to go out with his friends and assault random strangers.
We were told by Gilbert police that our case was not an isolated incident.
The 2 officers told me that there are about 5 other incidents of brass knuckles at that specific In-N-Out.
Threats and intimidation were definitely a big part of the goons and why people were afraid of them, for sure.
We have reports of them chasing kids, following them. A group of them in ski masks showed up on the doorstep of a student who wanted to come forward and talk.
If you got jumped or they did anything, you wouldn't go tell anybody, because that's kind of like a death sentence, I guess, but not really. It's just like they just keep beating you up until they're bored.
The message was clear: if you talked, you were going to get hurt.
There were 8 calls in 4 years of a fight at In-N-Out. Of those 8 cases, only 3 times was a report made. And let me clarify. In those 3 times, we were able to get there, identify suspects, and all the other times, they were gone when we arrived.
There was a lot of beatings at In-N-Out, definitely. A lot more at In-N-Out than anywhere else, probably. At one point, the beatings were every night. Before it got that bad, per weekend, I'd say like maybe 3 or 4 fights that they would get into.
And they didn't put it together with the Gilbert Goons, and their stated reason was because none of the victims identified their attackers as Gilbert Goons, and they had no other information.
I don't know his name, but there was this police officer that would sit at In-N-Out, and we knew for a fact, like, he wouldn't do shit. Like, whatever we did, he would just turn his head and not look at it. Like, he would just sit there, like, we'd beat kids up and he would just sit in the corner of the parking lot with a clear view of what we're doing, and just wouldn't approach us, nothing, he'd just sit there.
Months after we published dozens of stories and videos of gang attacks, authorities led by Gilbert Police designated the Gilbert Goons and another East Valley gang a criminal street gang.
How do you explain the disconnect between what your officers were seeing and the fact that they missed that there were these 2 gangs operating on your streets? Does that disconnect concern you?
We hear a broken trust from the community, concern with who has been arrested and who hasn't. People come to us and ask, is there a cover-up? What is your response to that?
We weren't asleep at the wheel. There is no cover-up. We have an excellent department with excellent employees. We've been pursuing charges on these investigations, and we will continue to do so.
So Gilbert Police had at their disposal information that gang attacks, group attacks involving teens, attacking other teens, posting the stuff on the internet was taking place, and yet they didn't do anything. Or whatever they did, it didn't lead to arrests of kids involved in the Gilbert Goons.
The information we had at that time, we had very few videos and no connection to the Gilbert Goons prior to Preston Lord's death. After Preston Lord's unfortunate death, a lot of information was shared with our department and with the community and with the media.
I think they don't know how to work social media, because it took me less than 1 hour to connect the boys with each other.
It was easy to create this world, this circle of kids who were involved in these attacks.
And one of the boys, his Snapchat handle has GG on the end of it, which is Gilbert Goons. So if they had taken the time to research not only his Snapchat account, but connect to his Instagram account, they would have seen what I saw.
And I know that the Gilbert Goons there's a lot more of them that are out there still. I hear stories from other parents whose kids still get threatened by them.
I don't know if you're going to be attacked again by those that are still out on the streets. It's not much incentive to want to go out. You want to stay at home and know you're safe.
I didn't want them to do anything alone, like do everything together, go to the gym together, drive to school together.
I still kind of am looking over my shoulder. I don't know who's out there. I don't know if one of his friends wants to get revenge on me.
I actually said to somebody in December that I believe the beatings have stopped. I said, there's no way, there's a kid lying dead, police are investigating a homicide, that they're gonna keep beating people up. Nobody is dumb enough to keep beating people up after this attack on Preston Lord with all the attention it's getting. We discovered a video from an attack at Santan Mountain Regional Park that occurred about 2 weeks after the Preston Lord murder.
And so there has been a big push after the death of one young man after being beaten in an instance like this.
You are specifically prohibited from having any contact with anyone known to be a member or associated with the Gilbert Goons.
You would think that kids would stop after seeing that another kid died in the same type setting.
Now, in your case, the agreement is that you would be placed on probation for both offenses. Neither one requires you to do any upfront jail.
And then most of the kids that have been arrested have taken a plea deal and they've gotten probation, which has made the community upset.
I think if you just get a slap on the wrist, you're going to continue to make the same mistake or new mistakes, and you're never going to learn.
We haven't seen any additional beating cases, but you have to remember that's when police started arresting these kids.
I watch you sleeping, I hold you so tight. Before I go, I kiss you goodnight. I will watch over you from heaven above. Forever you will be dear and true love.
Which is evidence that suggests strongly that if police had acted sooner and began making arrests in the beating cases in 2023, perhaps Preston Lord wouldn't have been beaten to death.
Hold on to your dreams and all of your wishes, sending you hugs and butterfly kisses.